Hello and welcome to Thrive Within. I'm your host, Marc Bucksath, life coach, educator, and someone who's passionate about helping you live more fully, honestly, and aligned with who you really are. This podcast is your space for real talk and focused coaching on things like confidence, purpose, boundaries, self-doubt, and personal growth. So whether you're on a walk, taking a break, or just giving your brain a moment to breathe, I am so glad you're here. Let's get into it. Today I want to talk about the kind of trust that often gets overlooked. Not trust between friends or partners or coworkers, but trust with ourselves. You know, the quiet kind of trust that says, I'll follow through on what I promised myself. I'll show up for me the way I show up for everyone else, and I can rely on me. When that trust is strong, it changes how we walk through the world. We feel grounded. We trust our instincts. We don't second guess every choice. But when that trust is broken, and I think a lot of us know that feeling, it can quietly erode our confidence from the inside out. It's rarely one big moment that breaks it. Usually it's small things, little promises we make to ourselves and just don't keep. The workout we said we would do, but we didn't. The boundary we said we'd hold, but let slide. The project we swore we'd finish, but never started. And slowly, without even noticing, we start to doubt ourselves. We stop believing that our word, even ourselves, matters. This episode isn't about blame, it's about rebuilding, because trust with yourself is something that can be rebuilt. One decision, one action, one followed through at a time. When you stop trusting yourself, it doesn't always scream. Sometimes it whispers. It's the quiet hesitation before making a decision because a part of you doesn't believe you'll actually follow through. It's saying, I'll start tomorrow. Over and over again until tomorrow turns into months. It's promising yourself you'll create boundaries, take care of your body, protect your peace, and watching yourself break those patterns in real time. The thing is this, no one else may even notice. From the outside, you may look like you've got it all together. But inside, that gap between you and who you want to be and who you're showing up grows a little wider each day. When that happens, confidence takes a hit. And it's just one part of life. It seeps into everywhere. We start to play small. We hesitate. We question our worth. Not because we're incapable, but because we no longer trust our own word. But just as trust erodes in small ways, it can also be rebuilt in small ways too. There was a season in my life where I was constantly running at full speed. On paper, I was doing everything right, teaching, creating, showing up for people, keeping the machine moving. But quietly, beneath it all, I was breaking promise after promise after promise to myself. I tell myself I was going to set aside time to rest, but, I'd work through it. Where I'd promise I'd create space for my own goals, but I'd give that time away. And I'd set intentions for my health, my creativity, my mental space. And I kept pushing them off. The turning point came late one night, sitting alone in my car after just a long day, and the parking lot was empty. My phone was buzzing, emails piling up, and I just sat there staring at the dashboard, realizing I couldn't remember the last time I kept my personal promise that didn't involve somebody else. And that realization, it hit me like a slow wave. Not a crash. It wasn't loud, but it was heavy. And I felt it in my chest. The weight of all the times I said to myself, I'll do it later. That night wasn't about perfection or grand gestures. It was about honesty. I whispered out loud, Mark, you don't trust yourself right now. And the second I said those words, something shifted. Not fixed, but it shifted. Because when you name something, it can't hide in the dark anymore. I didn't overhaul my life that night, but I made one decision: to make promises small enough that I could actually keep them. Here's the thing. Rebuilding trust with yourself doesn't start with some massive overhaul. It starts with the smallest, simplest promises. Take a second right now, wherever you are, and think of one, just one, tiny promise you could make to yourself today. Not I'll change my life. Not I'll get everything done. Just one promise that is small enough to keep, but meaningful enough to matter. It could be something really small, like drinking a full glass of water before you check your phone in the morning. Saying no once this week when something doesn't align. Or taking 5 minutes, just 5 at the end of the day, to just breathe and check in with yourself. This isn't about the size of the promise, but it's about keeping it. Because every time you keep a promise, it's like laying down a brick, one at a time, to rebuild that bridge of self-trust. So take a breath here. And let's just let that settle in. A while back, a friend of mine decided that she wanted to start running again. And she was tired of breaking her own promises too, so instead of making some big declaration about 5Ks or marathon training, she set the smallest bar possible. I'm going to put my shoes on and step outside. That was it. Some days she ran blocks, but some days she didn't run at all. But she always put the shoes on and she walked outside. And the crazy thing is, over time she became a runner again. Not because she had a perfect plan, but because she rebuilt her trust with herself, one micro decision at a time. Now, you don't have to conquer the mountain to trust yourself again, but you do have to take one honest step and keep it. Rebuilding trust with yourself is a lot like rebuilding trust with somebody else. It takes time, it takes consistency, and it takes clarity. Here's a framework I use. I call it the trust loop. 1, start small. Promise yourself less than you think you should. A small kept promise is more powerful than a big broken one. 2, follow through. Do it. No fanfare, no drama. Just do what you said you would. 3, acknowledge it. Don't skip this. Pause and actually notice the moment you kept your word. This is what rewires your brain to believe you again. 4, repeat. Not perfectly, but consistently. Trust isn't returned in one grand moment. It returns brick by brick. And adjust when needed. If the promise was too big, shrink it. If it's too vague, make it clear. You're not failing. You're learning to keep your word with yourself again. The goal isn't to prove that you're perfect. The goal is to remind yourself that you can count on you. So let's slow down here for a second. Think about your own relationship with self-trust. Where have you stopped believing your own word? What promises have you made and actually quietly abandoned? And how would it feel if your word to yourself carried as much weight as your word to others? Now take a moment to let that land. If it stings a little, that's okay. That sting is just awareness waking up. And awareness is where everything starts. Now flip the lens. Imagine what it would feel like 6 months from now if you started rebuilding trust with yourself today. Not tomorrow, but today. What would it change? What would it soften? What doors would it open? Again, this isn't about perfection, it's about presence. So here's your shift for the week. Make one small promise to yourself today. Keep it, acknowledge it. It doesn't matter what the promise is, only that you followed through. This is how confidence grows quietly behind the scenes. And it's how self-respect rebuilds. And it's how you start showing up for yourself the way you've shown up for everyone else. Thank you for spending this time with me today. Rebuilding trust with yourself isn't about becoming someone new. It's about returning to someone you can rely on. You don't need grand gestures. You need real, honest follow-through. If this episode resonated with you, I'd love for you to follow the show, share it with a friend, or leave a kind review. It helps more people find these conversations, and if you are ready to go deeper, you can check out my books or learn more about coaching with me at guidedpathcoaching.crd.co. Start with one small promise and watch what happens next.